Earlier, we told you of the news of mistaking airstrike that killed 10 civilians. And to continue with this discussion, we're joined by security analyst and executive director, Elixir Trust Foundation, Emmanuel Ikule. Emmanuel, many thanks for doing this with us. Let's just get started, shall we? Another military accidental strike. This is, at this point, one too many in the past year. Now another this time around. What are your thoughts in this mistaken accidental strikes?
For me, it has always been a sad situation for us. I believe that trained personnel like the Nigerian Armed Forces should have the professional expertise to be able to address these concerns better, using kinetic and non-kinetic means in carrying out interventions or in their operations. But over time, it has not been so, and it has led to the lives, the killings of a lot of citizens. And there's hardly any state in the Northeast or even Northwest that we have not got this type of report before. So for me, I'm looking at there's need for reevaluation of their operations in the Northeast and Northwest. Immediate examinations of their operations. At the same time, Nigeria should now start also looking at how they can start using the laws, existing laws, to also punish persons responsible for these mistakes. We cannot keep doing, no country, even other countries that Nigeria is better than, we don't get these reports. So we can start looking at the Constitution. We have rights to life. A lot of persons have been denied their right to life. What can be done to at least compensate those families that have lost their loved ones? What can be done also to the culprits or those that have failed to carry out these attacks while ensuring that we have less casualties? Nigeria is also signatory to a lot of international regulations. So the federal government should look into this and see how punishment can be meted out, families can be compensated. At the same time, there's a crying need for reevaluation or review of existing curriculum of security law enforcement officers in general in the country, because we cannot cope and we cannot continue like this. Something has to be done urgently.
And I mean, you just talked about intelligence and now surveillance, right? So what role do they play in minimizing the likelihood of accidental, civilian casualties during military operations? Is it a matter of intelligence? Is it a matter of surveillance? Or is it just a matter of, tactic?
It's when you look at intervention generally, law enforcement officers in Nigeria has been reactionary. Most times they only react to situations. They don't plan before going to the field. If you look at the reports, there were cases of elections being done and the loss of some lives of law enforcement officers. And this is something that has been occurring over and over again. Anytime you hear that a military officer or so has been killed or has been attacked in any place at all, you see them going back to just kill people at random. They have done this over and over again. So gradually from being protectors, they are becoming predators. So there should be checks. If you cannot bring them to order, then it means they have gone rogue, and which is bad for a country like ours that is looking at growing. So another thing is the equipment we have. Is it that the persons manning them lack the capacity in handling it? There have been a lot of cases of drones killing people in hundreds, keeping people in great numbers. The question is, who will be the next person? Once you find yourself in any of these areas, then it means you can also fall victims. And that has limited, maybe will limit a lot of lives. What you are planning to achieve tomorrow, all that will be cut short. If these persons were breadwinners of their family, what has happened? The issue is the federal government will pay lip service anytime the military do anything. You only come and hear that they were airstrike. Accidentally. These are professionals. You are being trained to do this. It's not by chance. It's not by mistake. Not that you were just recruited now to carry out this intervention. All this while, you know this terrain. You are Nigerians. So it's not a new situation. It's not a new terrain. Everything you are aware of. And if you have spent trillions or billions of naira every year buying equipment and buying drones, is it that we don't have the capacity to man them, or we don't have improve the equipment that can help us even check whether we'll be having a lot of casualties if these attacks or these operations happen. These things already, these persons should know. So I find it, sometimes I feel some of these actions are deliberate.
Yeah, I mean,
in some areas, we start looking at maybe cases where maybe some minerals have been discovered, and then it starts looking at some of these attacks to scare people to run away from such locations.
Emmanuel, these are your thoughts. But let's just say this, right? And hopefully, you can see it from a bird's view point of view, if that makes any sense. These strikes happen to be in very populated areas, or at least they are populated, not very, but they are populated. We saw the one area this year, or was it late last year, where it was our correspondent Emmanuel Ikule did a fantastic job of that, where they said they were attacking Lokarawa members, but it turns out to be many of them had been settling, living there, and they were members of the communities, and they knew them, And then this also is another case, 10 persons who are civilians who are living in that area, and this happened on Saturday, and we're just finding out on Monday. And so the question is it that they're not ensuring proper identification of their targets before launching the airstrikes, especially in these areas?
For me, for a professional body, just like I said earlier, before operations are being done in area, and with also the equipments the military have come out to say they have, we shouldn't be thinking about something like this. I have been privileged to work in displaced IDP camp, where crisis environment in a refugee camp. And even those persons working in those locations, there's profiling of persons. Even people living in an area, they know each other. They know. So, and if military, there's no law enforcement, even at the level of vigilante, if they stay in a particular location for just a week, they will know almost every person living in that area or following or using certain routes. This is something I know because I work closely with these persons. They are professionals, they know. But if with their knowledge, these things are still happening, that means there is something unknown yet to us. At the same time, there have been reports over time. I think there was 2023 when NEMA reported that about 80-something persons died. Amnesty came out with about 120 persons. So there's always also this case that whenever we get numbers of maybe 6 persons have died, they may end up being like 30 more persons that have died.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, also, most times we don't have TV or radio stations or press or media in those particular areas that are on ground directly to give a first-hand information immediately if these things happen. So most times we get is reported speech or what the law enforcement officers decide to sell or give to us.
Right. I mean, Emmanuel, I must say thank you because we're out of time. But many thanks for doing this with us and just giving us a bit of your insight there. Emmanuel Ikule, he is the Executive Director and Security Analyst as well, Executive Director, Elixir Trust Foundation. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.